Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Let's welcome today's speaker, Samantha.
Thanks. Woo! Where's the clock? Oh, you're the clock. I thought you were the 2-minute speaker. There's no 2-minute speaker here. There was a sign that said 2-minute speaker. Oh, it's a 2-minute warning. Got it. I thought I had all this time. Hold on. Hi, family. I'm Samantha. I'm an alcoholic. Samantha. I want to thank the apostles John and James for asking me down here. What's up, brother? Never had it so good, no matter what my head says. I want to thank George and Sandy. Where are you guys? For this beautiful book. Every speaker gets one of those? Jeez. Every speaker. God, I almost want to go get loaded, come back, get another one. I want to thank the lovely blonde who brought me my water. What's your name? Toby. Thanks, Toby. Kobe. Shobi? Loby. What is it? Kobe, like Kobe Bryant? Yeah. What time do I talk to? Seriously. Till what? Quarter after. Okay. Here goes nothing. So, my sobriety date this time, I got a bunch of them. Any relapsers? Yeah, my people. Resumers, I like to call them. All the rest of you are just original winners, huh? Original winners. Pussies, that's what I like to call them. Kidding. I jest. So my sobriety date this time is September 5th, 1995. I have a sponsor, she has a sponsor, she has a sponsor. I have a home group, Saturday morning, as Bill sees it, up in Santa Barbara, California. I sponsor a ton of ungrateful clowns and whores. That save my life on a daily basis. Congratulations to all the chippies. Welcome to the newcomers. Welcome if you're new or used, as I like to call you. I want to welcome to all the alcoholics and I want to welcome the alcoholic and the addict, alcoholic. I want to welcome the addicts. I want to welcome the speed freaks, the stoners, the tweakers, the dope fiends. Welcome to Alcoholics Anonymous. Welcome. I hope that you can find a sponsor and go through the steps and traditions and find out why it is that we identify as an alcoholic for a singleness of purpose, but, you know, we don't really care. I mean, if there's people around that care, you just come see me. But it's kind of like, you know, almost like willing to go to any lengths. You know, if the dope man said, look, I want you to identify as an alcoholic, or if he said, I want you to wear a dress and turn around 3 times and call yourself howdy doody. I'd be like, 1, 2, 3, whatever lengths that I need to go to get the dope, then that's what I'm going to go to, because I was beat into a state of reasonableness, you see. So that's that. And I may say some things that are, in your opinion, controversial, or you can disagree, which is absolutely fine. I'll speak to you about my experience, right? So I'll give you my opinion, which is based on my experience. So if you want to take me outside the meeting afterwards and argue with me about my opinion, I'll win, because it's my experience, and I have the scar tissue to prove it. But this is, this is how I got sober. I want to talk to you about the difference between sobriety and recovery. And, sobriety is where we start. Hopefully, recovery is where we live. And sort of the difference between sobriety and recovery, in my opinion, is that sobriety is kind of like relief. And there's a difference between relief and freedom. So relief for me is sort of like, all the button pushers, those sons of bitches that push your buttons all the time, you know what I mean? They got fingers all over the place. They're pushing my buttons left and right. Now, relief is that I commit to cutting off all the button pushers' fingers. It's a big job, but I'm committed. You see what I'm saying? Is this being recorded? Okay, shit. Shoot. Dear God, I humbly beg you, if it be your will, to help me with profanity. But ultimately, just remove everything I think I know. And realign me and help me help your kids, starting with me. Amen. Okay. So, because see, in my home group, whenever you drop an F-bomb, you have to put $1 in the basket, you see? So sometimes I just bring my credit card. I'm like, fuck it. So usually the amount of profanity I use is directly proportional to how scared I am. So we'll see how scared I am, Aw. My family, my people. So anywho, relief and freedom. I'm cutting off all the fingers of those button pushers, right? But the sons of bitches keep having babies that turn into button pushers. So it's a long job, but it's relief. And every finger I cut off is like, a minute, 2 minutes, 4 minutes. Got him, right? That's relief. Freedom is I remove my buttons. Terrific, Sam. How do you do that? Let me explain. Where's Ezra? Oh, my God. What an idiot. Make sure you give him this CD. Because that guy is like my guy. Anyway, he was my guy. I just, 3 years sober, hate everybody. Yes! I love that. Right? What's up, my brother? Little dimples. Yeah, people bother me, which is really strange because I'm a therapist, so that's a whole nother level of, challenge. So freedom, and I don't mean freedom like just freedom. I mean Rage Against the Machine, Zach De La Rocha, fucking freedom! You know what I mean? Braveheart, Mel Gibson, freedom! That's what I'm talking about here. That's the kind of freedom that we can offer here. If. This whole program is conditional. If you do this, you can have this. Unless you do this, you can't have this. Until you do this, you can't have this. The fellowship is for fun and for free. The fellowship is not the program. It's a part of recovery, but it's not the program. The program is conditional. The program, you pay. Recovery, you pay. Everything is a cost-benefit analysis, really. You know what I mean? We're just animals. It's just increased pleasure, decreased pain. You know what I mean? And so I love it when people are just just go to meetings and don't drink in between meetings. Just put the plug in the jug. Don't drink no matter what. Now, based on my experience, my opinion is that's not alcoholism. Alcoholism is you drink no matter what. No matter what. The first step is I'm powerless. Without power, you're doomed. There's no hope in the first step. There's no good news in the first step. The first step is you're doomed. That's really it. Breathe that in for a second. The first step is you're totally, completely fucked. I think the literature is utter, complete, total. Total defeat, utter defeat, complete defeat, utter, total, utter, complete. Defeat. Defeat. Not like, yeah, but. No. Ass kicking. The principle that we shall find no enduring strength until we first admit complete defeat is the main taproot source from which our whole society, capital S, has sprung and flowered. So if someone goes, hey, what's the main taproot of your little society over there, AA? You go ass kicking and on you went. That's the principle. The principle is it really is helpful if you have an ass kicking. Why is that? Because the recipe, if you will, for Alcoholics Anonymous, which is not displayed anywhere, but you know it's in our beautiful book. The recipe tastes like icky. Let's go through it, shall we? Who cares to admit complete defeat? No, I do not want to admit complete defeat. Who cares to turn their will and their life over the care of some God that never did you any favor? No, I'd rather not. Who cares to write a list of their grosser moral handicaps and then share them with some stranger who's just going to talk shit about you at the next meeting? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but basically you get what I'm saying, right? Who cares anything about, like, loosening the grip on your character defects? What? You mean my survival skills? I think not. Who wants to go to the court and say, I did it? You know what I mean? Making amends. Well, that's it. I like that. Who wants, and this is the kicker, who wants to say I was wrong? Not I'm sorry. I was wrong. Nowhere in the 10th step does it say I'm sorry. It was I was wrong. If you don't think there's a difference between I was wrong and I'm sorry, try I was wrong. It's like I was raw. I was raw. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm fucking sorry. Sorry. Yeah, they know you're sorry. We don't care. Sorry is not what it's about. I was wrong. In fact, you can even say, I think, in my opinion, based on my experience, you could even do a 10th step without really being sorry. You can just be like, I was wrong to call you that. You dumb son of a bitch. But you don't want to leave that off because there's more amends. But basically, I was wrong. Promptly admitting where I was wrong. How can I make this right? Right? And then 11, sit quiet, right? Prayer and meditation? I think not. And then the kicker, who wants to sacrifice time and energy, carrying the message to some ungrateful broad who's not going to stay sober anyway? You know what I mean? That's just like, again, paraphrasing. But that's basically what our literature says. No, the average alcoholic, self-centered in the extreme, doesn't care for this prospect unless he has to do it in order to stay alive himself. Alive, not sober. Alive. Which prompts the next question, well, what kind of death are we talking about? You know what I mean? Because is it a fast death? Right? Choose a spiritual life or die an alcoholic death. Anybody else, non-alcoholic, would be like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but I'll take the spiritual life. But not us. We're like, hang on, let me weigh that out. Wait. Hold on. What kind of death, So, icy shark-infested waters. That's what I say. Swimming for the life preserver in icy shark-infested waters. Not in this beautiful, sunlit, warm, Hawaiian water. I'd be like, James, by all means, you take my life preserver. I'm an excellent swimmer. I will just tread water until a lifeboat comes and gets me. No. It's icy, shark-infested water. Just like, because, you pull one little tug on your leg, right, and their blood goes in the water, right, and then what happens? Come on. More sharks, that's right. So then, again, this is just like medically, this is probably not true, but I like this. This is my metaphor because my sponsor was like, what's the worst way to die when I was 4 years sober? I'm like, icy shark-infested waters. He's like, where do you get that shit? Anyway, so I'm just thinking, cold water, you don't get to pass out quick. You're getting pulled and ripped apart and you're feeling every single thing long, drawn out. If you want to die, you hop into the warm bath, slit your wrists, off you go. Make a note, right? But no. This is icy shark-infested water. So then I will be swimming with all the fervor, passion, with which the drowning sees a life preserver. That's step one. So yeah, it helps if you're desperate. I mean, why would I want to give up alcohol? So here's the deal. I'm an alcoholic that slams methamphetamine, which makes me a very busy alcoholic that gets nothing done. And I'm incredibly scandalous in the process. So, the whole drunkalogue is really that, I mean, I started getting loaded late in life. I was 9. I was in 4th grade. I could have used a drink a lot sooner, but it was hard to score with like Partridge Family Lunch Pail or whatever it was I was carrying at the time. So my first drink came disguised in the form of marijuana. I was over at my girlfriend's house. Her brothers, dealt weed. They loaded up something kind of like a bong. If you're a purist, I'll explain it later. But anyway, they put that thing in, and they just cleared the chamber, and I was in. I hadn't even had any yet. And I did smoke weed that day, and all I remember is eating a lot of almond roca candy and falling off their roof. And I couldn't wait to try it again. You know what I mean? Like I was in. And shit just went downhill from there. By the time I was 17, they threw me in my first drug and alcohol rehab center. And that's where I first got the message of hospitals and institutions that maybe I was sick and not bad. Right? And until that time, I was convinced I was evil. I'm the youngest of 4 kids. I'm the only one that's adopted. I used to absolutely obsess about killing my parents. I would plan it out, especially my mom. I wanted to drop acid in her coffee and watch her just flip out. You know what I mean? So you start to think, you talk to other 12-year-olds and they're just like, no, I don't even, what's acid? You know what I mean? So I was pretty convinced that I was evil. So when they said to me that maybe I was sick and not bad, I don't think I had the vocabulary or the understanding at the time, but I definitely felt some sense of hope. And that's where the message really came in. And I didn't stay sober the rest of my life from that point on. But, I came back in and out for a while, and around 19 or 20, I came back in, and I stayed sober for 6.5 years. And then I quit going to meetings. That's what I hear the most, right? I quit going to meetings. I didn't do a 4th step, didn't do a 5th step, didn't do a 9th step, didn't do a 12th step. People with 6, 7, 8 years sober, I'm not sponsoring. I don't have anything to give. You know what I mean? I'm like, ch-ch. And that's kind of where my compassion sounds like a loaded shotgun. It's just, what? That's the dope. That's the dope. That we give meaning and purpose to our life. That you start to see, as it says, into the family afterward, that we've been given the ability to actually save lives. That's no small feat. That's the deal, right? I'll hear people say, well, I'm service, I do service in other ways. That's great. I'm just saying the 12th step, right, is about service, and yet on and on through our big book, all over the place, it talks about working with others. Not even so they'll get sober. We don't care. You go to Alano clubs and there's usually the big triangle and the circle and it says, we care. We don't care. I mean, we care, but we don't care. We care. We care a great deal. But I have to be very careful about thinking that I'm sponsoring to get you sober. I don't sponsor to get you sober. I sponsor to stay sober. It's very clear. I'm powerless over alcohol. That means in your life too, right? I'm powerless means I need some power. Now here's the thing. Once I get power, I start to come to believe in a power greater than myself, whatever that might be, right? And then I start to move into this third step. And the third step is where I live. The third step for me is where I live. Let's look at this third step for a second, right? God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as thou wilt. Here's the kicker. Ready? Relieve me of the bondage of self. And then right? Then it says a couple lines after the, be sure you're ready to take this step, right? They should have put that shit before you take the prayer, right? Because you're about to lose some shit. If you sincerely, and the longer I stay sober, the more powerful that step becomes. Relieve me of the bondage of self. Well, what am I in bondage to? What am I in bondage to that I would not be willing to give up for a closer relationship with God? And when I say God, let me just say, I am the most pagan creature on this planet, right? So, I don't even know where to get started with where that is. But if you struggle with the concept of God or the religious God or anything, like, welcome, come sit by me. You know what I mean? And so for those of you who do struggle, let me just go into a little thing that has helped me a lot. For me, God is anything that makes me go, whoa. Whoa. Right? Like, that the tears shed in sadness are a different chemical makeup from the tears shed in joy. Whoa. Whoa. That if you set a bone, right, any trauma, you set that bone. My dad was an orthopedic surgeon, and you set the bone, and when the bone heals, it's actually stronger than the bone you were born with. Whoa. You mean to tell me that at the point of trauma, at the point of tragedy, that actually made my body stronger? Yes. 100% yes. Next. Just no big deal, just whoa. Right? And if you look around, a good Tool song or whatever else you got going on there, it's whatever sort, you right? Carl Jung, whoa, right? I'm a Jungian, sorry. So the whole concept here is if you're not paying attention to the whoa factor, you're missing out because it's all over the place. The human body, for one, is just, what? And now we got neuroplasticity. What? That's some heavy shit. Sorry, spitting all over. I get a little excited. So the path for God is wide and roomy. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you're not paying attention to how cool it is that your lungs go in and out, then you're missing the God factor. Truly. So anyways, I come to believe some power greater than myself. At the beginning, it's just my sponsor. She has all her teeth. I don't. Boom. You know what I mean? She shaves her legs. I don't. Wow. She has something called car insurance. Wow. You know what I mean? For the first 4 months, all I wore was Uggs, sweats, flannels. The back of my head was shaved and my 2 bottom teeth were knocked out. Total vision for you, right? And when I was about 6 months sober, she looks at me and she just, out of the blue, like they do, it has no bearing on the 12 steps at all. And she just looks at me and goes, I'd like you to start wearing a dress once a week. And I was just like, oh. I couldn't even say anything. What I wanted to say was, fuck yeah, that's not in the big book. What are you talking about? And I was so terrified at the thought of wearing a dress. I was like, and then she doesn't miss a beat, right? She goes, and brush your hair, and I go, on the same day? Freaking out. And she laughed at me like you are. The fear was tremendous. Of what? Of being attractive? Of being soft? Of being real? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. So I could sum this whole thing up and we could go home and get out of here really quick. I could just say the only problem we suffer from is fear and the only answer is God. We could get the fuck out. But I drove all the way down here, so why not? How much time do I got? 11, 12. 11:12? What time do I stop?
15.
Oh, I got to stop. Oh my God, 3 minutes. Wow. Okay, let's see. So I get sober and I work the steps at the speed of pain. We work the steps starting at page 60. There's no work to be done in step 1 and step 2. These steps require reflection, not action. When I'm 10 years sober, I go out to my mom and dad's in Arizona and I start taking care of my mom and dad, the people that I hated that also went to Families Anonymous, and we started to become very, very close. And my dad was going through dementia, and my mom had lung cancer. And, you know, I had a doctor's degree. You know, I went to law school and all this stuff, and I got my master's in psychology, and, you know, I'm a therapist, and I wasn't working. What I was doing was basically taking care of, just wiping my dad's ass, really, was what was going on, and making him laugh. And that was the amazing thing, you know. And I remember the day before he died, I went in and I just said, you know, please don't go, Dad. Dad, don't go. Dad, please don't go. Don't go, don't go, don't go. I can't handle it. I can't do it. I can't handle it. And the next day I went in there and something had happened. I'd had a dream or something like that. And I went in and I looked at him in his beautiful blue eyes and I just said, I lied to him. And I just said, Dad, I got it. I got this. I got it. I got Mom. I got the dogs. I got the house. I got it. And 6 hours later, he was gone. And the same thing with my mama, you know. And she said, I think, you know, I said, you want to do the chemo? She said, no, I want to go see Daddy. And she said, I am a little interested in that liquid morphine that you were telling me about. Doctor, liquid morphine. And every night I'd pour her a glass of Merlot, right? And I always have an alcoholic, you know, take care of someone who's dying of cancer. Because my brothers and sisters would have just been like, shh, right? And I was like, morphine, Ativan. Got her a little green card, gave her a little chewable. Load her up, watching her shows, watching our shows. 30 minutes later, I look at her. How you doing, Mommy? I feel really good. I'm hungry. What do you want? Waffles. Waffles are good. You know, and I hugged her until the breath left her, you know, and this is, you know, what kind of drug addict criminal who's been in the psych ward gets to do that, gets to write the checks, gets to care and tend to another while being tended to. I got to wrap it up, and I just, you know, I want to say to you guys, I wish you desperation. The steps are designed to remove all the fear. All the fear. Our only problem is self-centered fear. The character defects are spawned by self-centered fear. Our chief activator of character defects is fear. You don't work on character defects. That's beyond your pay grade. There's a prayer for that. We work on the fear. How do I work on the fear? There's another fucking prayer. It's a prayer. It's a prayer and an inventory. It's a prayer and an inventory. If you're not doing meditation yet, you're missing out. And you'll be doing it now or 30 years from now. But the problem rests in here. That's the only place it rests. And we have the ability to recover because we've tapped into a source of power that's personal and portable, and it's yours. And you don't get to keep saying, I just have the mind of a chronic alcoholic. No. Maybe you're immature or you're unrecovered or you're irresponsible, but once you tap into a source of power, you are powerful. And we have a responsibility to be that. And that can be scary. I'm super grateful for my life. I'm super grateful for my recovery. And if it weren't for people like you and this program, the beautiful steps, I would have missed it all. Thanks for my life. Oh, there's a question and answer?
Yeah, they didn't tell you that part, did they?
I don't go home now. Okay. Yes.
How did you deal with your rage in your new sobriety, when you were newly sober?
What's your name?
Steve.
Steve says, how did I deal with my rage in my early sobriety? What makes you think I was rageful? You mean my drug of choice? Rage is fear. How do I deal with fear? Here's how I deal with fear. The fear inventory basically says, I write down all the things that I'm afraid of, even though there's no resentment in connection with them. I ask myself, why do I have these fears? Isn't it because self-reliance has failed me? Self-reliance was good as far as it went, but it didn't go far enough, right? Fear, for me, is the need for a new relationship with all the things I'm the most afraid of. So here's what I do, and I'm going to try to do it pretty quickly. I write a list of what I'm most afraid of, the really big ones, let's say death or losing my kid or something like that. And I ask myself, what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen if my child dies. The worst thing that can happen if I die. And no matter where you go, well, then I'll be alone, or then I'll be dead, or then I won't have this, or then I'll grieve, or then... But ultimately, I keep going, and then what, 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 and every single fear, it comes down to the same thing. I don't know. I don't know. Say it again. I don't know. Exactly. It could be the best thing that ever happened to you. Now, bear with me. I'm not saying, yay, I want to be raped or my kid dead or anything like that. But what I'm saying is how many times in your life have you thought this is the worst thing that could ever happen, and then it turned out to be the best thing in your life because it changed you on a profound level that brought you to where you are today that you could not have come to without that? How many times have you watched Oprah and the chick's raped, beaten, got her arms cut off, and now she's written the bestseller and making billions and talking all over the world? I'm just saying. You don't know. And if it really meant I'm willing to loosen the grip, I'm willing to loosen the grip on this fear, I'm willing to grow out of this fear if it means a closer relationship with my highest self, with God, with whatever you want to call it, wouldn't you, in your highest moment, say, yes, I might be willing to experience that? That's the beginning of the change of fear. That's the beginning of the decrease of the rage. Does that make sense? Yes. Yes. Sure.
Yeah, I'm Stephen.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about your meditation practice and specifically how it's helped you and how you incorporate it into your life.
So Steve wants to know about the meditation practice. I swear to God, I've not been to this meeting before. I can't. This is wow. Wow, you guys are awesome. Okay. He wants to know about my meditation practice, how it's helped me, and so on, essentially. So... I'm trying to, okay. So meditation practice is several times a day, first of all. I meditate with all my clients, first of all. I won't see you professionally unless you are willing to do that with me. And it's amazing how many people are But anyway, so the start of it, though, if I can just go back to the start, that might help. And I do Vipassana, and I do guided, and I do a lot of other stuff like that. And I love I love Ken Wilber, and I love quantum physics, and I love, so there's a lot of that going on. But anyway, I would say that the first profound experience I had with meditation, which really sold me, was when I was about 8 years sober, and I had a therapist who's also a guru, really, and we sat doing loving kindness meditation, okay? And metta, M-E-T-T-A, for those of you who are not sure of that. And we started to bring into those people with whom we have great difficulty, right? And at the time, it was the Bush-Gore thing, right? I don't want to go down that road too much, but let's just say that I was angry. Rageful even. Hated politics, hated America, hated Bush, hated right? Liars and everything. And when we moved into that metta, here's what came up for me when the words are, may he be safe, protected, and free from harm, right? Which I thought I was going to vomit the whole time. And here's what came up for me. He has a really hard job. Out of nowhere. That's what came up for me for what I called was Satan. Satan has a really hard job. George Bush. Well, again, Yeah. Beelzebub. Yeah. Something like that. Right. Not that there is one, I'm just saying. That's where my head was at. My head was at that place of, and for that kind of sadness, that kind of compassion where I was weeping started to come up. I felt that something had changed, a psychic change. Something had been shifted and rearranged for me to feel that way and have those emotions. So it was pretty profound. Yes, last question, I'm told. I'm sorry. 3 Steves? How did I do that? Go ahead. Thank you. Wow. So Steve, third Steve, wants to know when I first knew I was powerless. I think that somewhere in the drug rehab when I was about 17, I started to understand it, but after I relapsed after 6.5 years, that's when it really hit me that I had no defense, that 6.5 years sober, hadn't been to a meeting in about 6 months, was at a bar with my husband and my girlfriend, both who had never seen me drink before, and I had my Diet Coke, and they had their white Zinfandel, and suddenly the thought occurred to me, right, Jim, putting a little whiskey in the milk. It was suddenly the thought occurred to me, I don't think I'm an alcoholic. It was a phase. And without even, maybe 10 seconds, if that, I just reached over, picked up to half a glass of Zinfandel, drank it down, and that was that. And it was this, my girlfriend goes, well, good for you. You know what I mean? You show them. Because they don't get it. Right? Non-alcoholics don't get it. Non-alcoholics find you're a recovering alcoholic and they say these sweet things like, well, that is terrific. That's neat. Good. Good for you. Neat. So she didn't get it, And she was just like, well, good for you. You show them. And I know from the bottom of my stomach, a voice came clear as day, very softly but clear as day, that just said, here we go. Here we go. And that was it. The next 2.5 years, arrested 11 times, 5-point restraints, bottom teeth knocked out, and all kinds of fun shit, because I'm busy. You know what I'm saying? So I think at that point, there was something that I really got it on a cellular level as opposed to a cognitive level.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the The drone has been established, it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.